How's it going, guys? It's the Walking Zuzu Dead here, king of the anime and manga unboxers. So today I'm going to be doing my yearly best anime that I watched of the year. So obviously it's going to be the best anime that I watched in 2013. Now this doesn't necessarily mean that the anime came out in 2013. It could come out at any point, and I'm going to chuck like movies and OVAs in there as well. So we're going to have stuff that came out in like the 90s and the 2000s and this year. So it's going to be all over the place. So hopefully you enjoy, guys. So coming in at number 10 is Deadman Wonderland. Now originally I was watching this when it was first airing in Japan, but I dropped it after about the first 3 episodes. Not because it was bad at all, but I just decided I was going to wait for the dub to come out, and then I decided I'm going to wait till it comes out to buy on Blu-ray so then I could watch it then. Personally I thought it was going to be like 25, 26 episodes, but it wound up being 12 episodes long. The basic plot is it follows this kid called Ganta, and he gets framed for murder when this thing called the Wretched Egg comes into his classroom and literally rips to pieces all of his classmates in a really gory fashion. Blood and organs are all sprayed all over the walls, heads all over the tables. It's absolute madness. And he gets sentenced to go to a prison called Deadman Wonderland. Now Deadman Wonderland's kind of like, it's like the Running Man, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, meets like Battle Royale, and this is the thing that I absolutely loved about the concept of, you know, the series. It was kind of like the Running Man, like a TV series for convicts that have to do these wacky tasks and they get like massacred in really violent ways. Now, this series was good enough to reach my top 10, but honestly I was kind of disappointed. I wasn't hyped up to watch the series, but it just didn't reach my sort of like expectations of how good I truly thought it was going to be. I was hoping they were going to maybe explore the whole prison aspect a little bit more, and I just, after a while, I sort of like didn't like the main character that much. But it has got like great animation, and I did like the overall concept of the series. It's very gory and violent, and there are some like really great action scenes. So assassinating his way into the number 9 spot is Dick Togo in Golgo 13. Now this is a really cool series. Now I watched the first 26 episodes of like a 50 episode series, and I watched the first movie called The Professional, which is supposed to be the best one, and I really actually like The Professional movie. The basic plot is, actually this series is very episodic and there's no sort of like main storyline, so it kind of follows Golgo 13, the professional assassins. He's like the top assassin in the world. He's above everybody. He can pull off the most ridiculous sniper shots. He can pull off the most ridiculous assassination attempts. He is literally the fucking Terminator of the assassination world of humans. Yeah, but this series is very episodic, as I said. But if you don't like episodic series, I'll say this, is that every mission that he goes on, it has a very interesting like storyline to it, or it's full of like action, cool stunts and car chases and explosions and all that sort of stuff. And honestly, it is kind of funny and cheesy to see Golgo 13 get out of these ridiculous like situations where it's impossible for anybody. You're like, no way, come on, this guy has to have been killed, and he doesn't, and he just does it. He does it like a boss. He is the definition of a boss. Check it out, Griffith. So, number 8, the OVAs of Berserk. Now there are 3 out at the moment, and this year I watched part 1 and part 2. The basic plot is it follows Guts, who's this like badass mercenary, and he joins this mercenary group called the Band of the Hawk, who are led by Griffith, who's a very like charming, charismatic sort of like character. And Griffith basically wants to become a nobleman and generate sort of like power for the Band of the Hawk, and then one day sort of like rule his own kingdom. Now this story is really about sort of like betrayal and revenge, but that mainly starts to happen in part 3 and whatever's going to happen after part 3. Maybe we'll get a new anime series, maybe we won't, who knows. So honestly, this is arguably the greatest seinen manga of all time. Brilliant characters, great characters like Guts and Griffith and Casca. A real great tale of, a real great adventure, tale of like revenge, as I've said. If you like sort of things like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, I think you'll really enjoy Berserk, and it's highly worth checking out. It's full of violence and, you know, action and swords and shields and stuff, and there is some supernatural elements added into it as well. Now in these OVAs, these animations kind of hit and miss on some people. Some people enjoy the CGI, some people don't like the CGI. Personally, I wasn't too bothered by the CGI. It really didn't bother me. I didn't notice that some of it was terrible, as some people said, but you know. So that's Berserk, you should definitely check it out. Coming in at number 7 is GTO, Great Teacher Onizuka. Now, this is about 42 episodes long. The basic plot is is it follows Onizuka, who's this former like Yakuza motorcycle gang member, and he's like a legend throughout all of Japan for being a complete badass like biker. And one day he decides to like pack it all in and become like a teacher in this school, and he's a complete idiot. But this series is kind of like a comedy, high school slice of life kind of like series. It's not really a slice of life, but it sort of like feels like that because it's very sort of like episodic. But some episodes do have like part 2s to them. But this is honestly a really great series. It's got really likeable characters. It's really easy to watch, and I kind of like the whole way of how at the beginning Onizuka starts school and he's got like this group. They give him the bastards, you know, the delinquents, you know, just like what he really is. And slowly after time, he starts like making friends with each of these people that are like, we hate you, Onizuka. We're gonna get you fired. And you know, he wins over all these like delinquents and badasses and, you know, troublemakers, and it's really, really cool. And at the same time, you got the vice principal of the school who's, you know, hell-bent on, you know, getting Onizuka fired. So this is a real like goofy, funny, you know, series. I really enjoyed it, and Steve Blum, who plays Spike Spiegel in other series, he voices GTO, so that's reason enough. You know, he's awesome. Check out GTO. Number 6. Yo, Toriko! Yo, Toriko! Toriko. Get on that bandwagon. It's beast. Bought the anime, loved it. Got the first like 50 episodes. Basic plot is it follows Toriko, who's a gourmet hunter in the gourmet age, and he basically like tracks down like dangerous foods, you know, giant creatures, and he's followed by his chef Komotsu, who like cooks for him. Probably not the best plot summary ever, but I've got to say, it's got some of the manliest characters ever, some of the most over-the-top powers, over-the-top crazy-ass fights, very imaginative like world building. Oh god, that flavor is good. Really creative concept, and like there's a lot of like detail to all the sort of like foods and all these different sort of like animals. Honestly, Toriko is fucking awesome. It's beast. Check out Toriko. So, coming in at number 5 is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. If you're wondering what that was a fabulous stand. Yeah, JoJo's. Now, this year I watched the 2013 and 2012 anime, I believe, part 1 and part 2. I watched the OVAs for part 3 that came out in the 90s, and I also picked up and started reading the manga. So this is like the second thing on the list that was recommended to me by the Anime Hero, who's a fellow member of the Green Clan. Go check him out, he's a great reviewer. The basic plot for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is, over the generations, it follows the family called the Joestar family, as they're sort of like, as their faces sort of like intertwined with this person called Dio Brando, who winds up becoming an immortal vampire. So as you can already see, pretty wacky. But from each generation it follows like a new character in the Joestar family. So like, I think it goes Joseph, like Jonathan, Joseph, and then Jotaro, and I've only got to part 3, so yeah, I love it. I think this is a really cool series. It's got a lot of wacky, cheesy, over-the-top characters that have got loads of charisma and they're fabulous, and as you can see, like sparkly and gold. The anime, the new anime, has got really solid animation. I love the animation, and I love this sort of like comic book sort of like effect and feel they gave to it. Like, you know, when you get like speed lines, they would add speed lines like a comic book, or you know, when someone gets hit in the face and it goes pow or some shit, it would come up with like Japanese kanji and stuff. So that was really cool, and I like that concept. Honestly, I don't know what it's really hard to explain what I like about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Just that it's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and it's fucking awesome. I mean, it's really hard to put your finger on what's so great. Maybe it is just the over-the-top wacky characters. The plot for each, you know, like part so far, it's been a fairly sort of like loose plot, not a lot to it, but it's still very enjoyable. I definitely recommend you check out JoJo's. So coming in at number 4 is a series that I remember myself, Bonkai 922, Stark Clever, aka Whirlpool Inc., and Zoro Fanboy 124 being the only people going, check this goddamn series out, it is incredible, shouting it from the rooftops for about 6 months. and then a year and a half later, this is the biggest thing. It's exploded. Everyone cosplays it. Everyone talks about it. Everyone's like, oh, this is the greatest anime of all time. And that's Attack on Titan. It is crazy to be one of those people to see it go from no one knowing what it is to it being absolutely massive and nearly outselling like One Piece in manga in Japan. It is fucking crazy. But yeah, Attack on Titan. If you haven't watched it yet or read it, you definitely should. The basic plot is there are these things called Titans, and they've wiped out 90% of humanity, and what's left of humanity lives inside these giant like concrete sort of like 50-foot high walls. And yeah, that's all I'm going to give for you. But this series, in my opinion, sort of like, it runs on its atmosphere and its sense of like danger and its sense of like hopelessness for its characters. Like, you know, the people that live in this world know that they're on borrowed time, and it's only a matter of time before the Titans come in and eat them. The animation's absolutely stunning. I mean, this is 2013 animation. It looks, oh, it is good, real good. And what I really love about the series is all these sort of like unanswered questions and mystery, and you know, all this like this cloak and dagger, shadow. What are the Titans? Where do they come from? How were they created? What do all the people that are like the nobles and the priests, what do they know about the Titans? You know, it's real great sort of like atmosphere. Now, in my opinion, you know, the weakest point of this story is the characters, and the reason I didn't talk about them is because I think they're all kind of a band of generic, I don't care about you if you die sort of characters. They're sort of they are a little bit stereotypical, if I'm honest with you. But overall, that doesn't hurt the series at all. I know a lot of people really enjoy the characters and they love this series, and I love this series. And you know, I'm someone that's been shouting Attack on Titan for like a year and a half with a few other people in the anime community. So if you haven't already, I highly recommend you check this out because it is as good as everyone says it is. I, Walking 00 Dead, King of Britannia, command you to check out Code Geass because it comes in at number 3. So this is a series that I actually rewatched this year, so I've added it on the list anyway. And I rewatched it in Blu-ray, so I've got part 1 and part 2 on Blu-ray. It's about, I think it's like 50 episodes long. The basic plot is it follows Lelouch, who's this exiled prince who's trying to protect his little sister, and he wants to bring down this empire called Britannia that's taken over, let's say like 70% of the world, and he gains this power called the Geass, and it's called the power of the king, and it basically allows him to brainwash anyone to doing whatever he commands. So this is a real great series. It's like sort of like military sort of like game of chess in a way. It's got a great leading character in Lelouch, one of the best leading characters in all an anime and manga in my opinion. And the mech fights, there are a lot of mechs in this series, they're the most entertaining mech fights that I've personally ever seen. And I'm not a big fan of mech at all, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I really don't like things like Gundam. But I really enjoyed sort of like the technical aspect of, you know, like let's flank these mechs and let's, you know, ambush these ones, and there's loads of like tactical stuff to it which made it really enjoying. It's not sort of like just cannon fodder through hundreds and hundreds of mechs in the same sort of animation stroke. And it's honestly got one of the best, if not the best, endings in any sort of like anime or manga ever. So yeah, you should definitely check Code Geass out if you haven't already. So guys, we are down to the top 2. So coming in at number 2 is another series that I rewatched for the first time in about 2 years. And also this year I read the manga as well, and I've done some videos on it. You might be able to guess what it is Naoki Urasawa's Monster. I love this series. Like this is easily in my top 3 great series of all time. 72 episodes long. Basic plot is it follows Dr. Kenzo Tenma, who's like this neurosurgeon, and he one day saved the life of a young boy who gets shot in the head. And basically this young boy turns out to become a serial killer and a sociopath and a psychotic, and he feels like he has to sort of like right the wrong, and he goes on a journey basically to kill, you know, Johann Lieber, who's this child who's now a man that he saved, because he's, you know, killing loads of people, and also he's sort of like he's basically been sort of like nurtured to be the next Hitler in a sense. But I won't go into too much. But it is an incredible story, and honestly this series has got my favourite cast of characters ever, even over Full Metal Alchemist. You've got Dr. Kenzo Tenma, one of the best and one of the most underappreciated and underrated main characters in any series. I really love the struggle, that he goes through, how he battles with his morals of, you know, all the weight on his shoulders of, you know, saving the life of someone that's basically the next Hitler. You've then got the two twins, Anna Lieber and Johann Lieber. Anna Lieber, in my opinion, one of the best written females in all of anime and manga. She's really strong, she's got great interesting backstory. She's like a razor blade away from being like Johann. You've got Johann, if you've not heard of Johann, people say that he's the greatest villain in anime and manga. I mean, I'm not going to go into too much there. I'll give you the last character that's just on the DVD case, Eva Heinemann. This is another way to write a really good female character. She's a gold digger, a piece of shit, a bitch. You fucking hate her, but then the writer makes you, towards the end of the series, feel real sympathy for her, feel sorry for her, and this is a really, really well written, sophisticated storyline. It's got great atmosphere. Even though Johann's not technically in the series a great deal, you always feel his presence, like he's always lurking behind, you know, Dr. Tenma, or he's like a chess game where he's, you know, a couple of steps ahead of him, playing him. Yeah, honestly, this series needs to be watched. It's 72 episodes long. I think the manga's like 18 volumes long, and it's getting a reprint, and the DVDs are getting a reprint as well, so highly recommend it. It is so good. So guys, the best anime and manga that I watched in 2013 that comes in at #1 is a series that's really, really under the radar. Not a lot of people know what it is, not a lot of people have heard about it, but trust me, it's incredible. If I'm putting it over Code Geass and Monster and Attack on Titan, you know it's got to be a good series. And that is The Count of Monte Cristo. Now, it's got a Japanese name, which I'm going to attempt to pronounce, but I do butcher it. Gankutsuo, I think that's how you say it. 24 episodes long. This is a masterpiece. I highly recommend you check it out. It's an alternate like retelling of The Count of Monte Cristo, obviously, which is like a classic like novel book. And it's set in a futuristic France, and it follows Albert, who's this rich aristocratic sort of like kid who's sort of like bored and he longs for like adventure. And he goes to this moon festival and he meets the Count of Monte Cristo, who's a very charismatic, charming sort of like guy who sort of like sucks in Albert. You know, he's drawn to the Count. The Count's full of charisma. He's just one of those characters. And you know, Albert like introduces him to all like the nobles and his family and all these powerful people throughout France. And the Count just like manipulates them like a chessboard, and it is masterful. This is a tremendously well written, sophisticated tale of revenge, and I won't go too much into the story because this is a real mystery series, and this series is full of twists and turns and revelations, and it's full of like impactful emotion. It's such a great series, and it's got a very, very unique animation style which you're either going to love or you're going to hate. Now I'll show you what the animation style's like. Now, it kind of combines CGI, but only on the clothes. So the clothes are CGI, but everything else is traditional animation. So some people, it might be put off by it. If you look at that, that's the animation style. Like sometimes maybe the hair will be like 3D-ish, or you know, like CGI-ish. But yeah, I honestly cannot sing the praises good enough for this series. It is truly incredible. I'd highly recommend you check it out. If you don't, you are really missing out on a classic series. This has easily made its way into my top 3 anime of all time, knocking some other things out of the way. I loved it, and this is the third thing that the Anime Hero actually recommended to me this year, so Hero's done 3 for free on really great series. Honestly, check out The Count of Monte Cristo. So guys, thanks for watching my top 10 anime that I watched in 2013. Hopefully you found something new you've never watched before that you're going to check out. So in the comment section down below, you know, let me know, is there anything from this list that you've never seen that you're now going to check out, because I put it in there. And you know, let me know in the comment section, what are your top 5 or top 10 best anime that you've watched this year. Now it could be something you've rewatched like I have with Monster or Code Geass, or it could be something completely new like The Count of Monte Cristo or GTO. So let me know guys, give us the old thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe, go check out all my other unboxings and anime recommendations and reviews and gameplays and all the cool stuff that I do, because I'm a fucking geek and I love it. Yes, geek on. And yeah, what can I say? May the sun never set on the British anime empire.